Well, here we are on a wackadoodle Wednesday back at Occupy Democrats discussing Donald Trump and the one thing he's actually good at, which is lying. And as the old cliche goes in this breaking story, the bigger the lie, the more people will believe it. And Donald Trump has certainly proven that out for over 10 years now, since he came down the escalator in 2015, but also what he's done in his first 100 days. And the reality is we have to avoid becoming numb to it, which is natural when something happens over and over and over again. And Donald Trump's in the 36,000 proven lie range at this point. But this breaking story is ridiculous because part of his scheme, part of his art of the deal is to flood the media and flood American minds with so much confusion, distraction, and diffusion, you can't see what he's really doing on the back end. That's Elon Musk, Doge, all of it. It is, and the tariffs, it is constant chaos, and he loves it. In this breaking story, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean, because what we can't afford to do is we cannot afford to begin to believe all the little lies. And I'm going to show you that in a few seconds. Take a look at what he's done in his first 100 days in normalizing absolute government corruption. Take a look at this.
Donald Trump wants to numb this country into believing that this is just how government works, that he's owed this, that every president is owed this, that government has always been corrupt and he's just doing it out in the open. But this is not how government works. This has been the story of his first 100 days. But it's our choice as a nation to allow it to be the story of the rest of his term. We need to expose what he is doing. We need to rally everybody from the left to the right. Nobody in this country, whether you are a hardened conservative or a hardened progressive, should root for the President of the United States to be enriching himself off of this position. We need to rally this nation against this corruption and bring it to an end. Because if Donald Trump gets what he wants, and we just start allowing our government's leaders to openly steal from us during the first 100 days or for the rest of his term, then I am telling you, American democracy is not going to survive.
Yes, Chris Murphy is right. And despite all of the news, despite all of the chaos over the last 5 to 8 years regarding crypto, or Bitcoin, or Dogecoin, or now Trump coin, no one seems to recognize this is just a monster scam. It's a Ponzi scheme that makes Bernie Madoff look like a 4-year-old child. And in this breaking story, take a listen to the truth about Donald Trump and the greatest scam in history. Here it is.
You've described this crypto venture as the most corrupt thing any president has ever done in the history of the United States. And I think you make a pretty compelling case about that. If the Congress and the U.S. Senate were doing its job, what would be the appropriate response to that?
Well, the first question is, why isn't the Department of Justice doing its job? I mean, this is corrupt on its face, but it is likely illegal. You probably don't have to scratch very deep to find an instance where the president has received an enormous infusion of cash to his crypto coin from a CEO or foreign oligarch who is then asking for a favor from Donald Trump. I mean, this is unethical, corrupt, but likely illegal if any prosecutor worth their salt was trying to even scratch the surface. But to the extent it's not already apparent that a president of the United States should not be running a backdoor bribery scheme, the equivalent of posting your Cash App on the White House webpage, then we should make it crystal clear that that's illegal. If we were doing our job, we would pass legislation saying that no president can monetize the White House by owning a crypto coin that he uses the official channels of the White House to sell to the public, to CEOs, to Saudi princes, and anybody else who has business before the United States Congress, so before the White House. So this should have a prosecutorial response. But yes, of course, if Democrats were in charge of the Congress, we would have a legislative response as well.
there you have it. And despite all of the negativity and even the arrests, Sam Bankman-Friedman, all of the scandals, Tom Brady losing 30 or 40 million dollars in crypto, whatever it may be, it doesn't seem to catch the American public in the way that it needs to, because we have been numbed down to the disruptive, dishonest person that Donald Trump is. And yet, gosh, may I remind us all that we're only 100 days in. Unless something really odd happens, we have to deal with this for the next 3.5+ years. And folks, the only way to do that is to not let things slide. We have to call everything out. Is it exhausting? Yeah, it is. But is it necessary to help hang on to some semblance of what America used to be, is, could be still? Along with all of our global allies and a global interconnected economy in which you can't be an isolationist and survive. And Donald Trump's tariff craziness is going to prove that out, because we are going to become isolated. And the more isolated and the more he fails, the more he's going to lie, and the more he's going to make sure he lines his own pockets for himself and his family. So when he walks away, I'm good, I won, art of the deal. Oy vey. You guys stay frosty.